Hi guys, I'd like to share with you my camper van conversion that I turned from this into this and from this into this. That'll save you thousands. Is it worth 30,000? Well, I'll let you guys be the judge of that, but I know I would have had to spend that kind of money in order to get one. If there was a video like this when I started doing mine, it would have been very handy. I've never done one before guys, so bear with me. But I think anybody with a reasonable budget can, with some DIY skills, do the same. So take a look around. I'll answer any questions you like, give you any tips that I can, give you any advice that I can, and give you some idea towards costs, etc. Cheers. Of course, the first thing you're going to want to think about is a plan, and there's plenty of them out there. I based mine on the Adria Twin, although not an exact copy, but whatever you choose, it's a personal thing, and whatever's going to suit your particular needs and vehicle. Vehicle I chose, of course, was the Fiat Ducato. Based this primarily on the amount of parts that were going to be available. Manufacturers use them, of course, in their sort of base models, so I knew that getting parts wasn't going to be a particular problem. One of the first things I did was get rid of this ugly front silver bit that was there. Sprayed that, put a couple of lights in there. Next was the windows. Cut those out with a jigsaw. Stuck those with some sticker flex, fairly straightforward to go in. Retail around about £150 a piece. Next was the floor. 2x1, again using sticker flex, stuck those down. You're going to need a lot of that, and some of this double-sided foam insulation silver stuff. Quite a few layers of that went in between. I did leave a bit of an air gap there, just to help prevent any form of condensation or anything from building up. As to the rest of the insulation, guys, now bear with me on this one because I feel this is an important part of any build, and I know a lot of people struggle with this one, as I did. Do I just spray foam the lot? I didn't fancy the cancer causing properties that are associated with it, I found. Do I Celotex it? That's kind of awkward, and leaving any kind of air gap between any insulation and the metal, you're going to find condensation, and that's when you start to get problems. So the first line of defense, if you like, was using a 3mm type foam insulation. You can see a bit of a roll of it there, and also in the cutaway section there. That has good sound insulation properties as well. But more importantly, it's getting almost like a second skin to the van to prevent any chance of condensation from forming. I was able to get good adhesion to the skin of the van. Secondly was a wool type insulation, which again I felt that with Celotex wasn't for me. Due to the curvature of the van, I felt that this had better breathability and able to get into the nooks and crannies, etc., and overall get a better coverage of insulation in there. Next on top of that was the double-sided silver foil insulation that was stuck on, and then in the ribs there was filled with expanding foam, the type that you can get from any sort of builder's merchants DIY. Just going back to this silver foil stuff, guys, I can tell you that one layer of that ain't going to be enough. I saw quite a few videos, etc., when I was researching this, and they were just kind of sticking one layer of this to the inside of the van, and it ain't going to cut it. First area that I did was the cab roof, and it was a particularly hot day, and I soon realised that just one layer of that, the heat was still coming through, which ain't going to cut it. Think of cooking a chicken. You cook a chicken in the oven, you put foil around it, the chicken still cooks inside. So if you think about it that way, as I say, you're going to want quite a few layers. As in the roof there, you can see that I put quite a number of layers in there. I think maybe 6, even 7 layers. That final layer on top there, I was able to leave then a bit of an air gap between that final layer, covering the roof line of the ribs there, which incidentally is one of the best forms of insulation you can get. This is just a picture of one section of the ceiling board. This is just 4mm ply. The one side's covered with a perforated vinyl. This particular side I just covered with ordinary aluminium baking sheet foil, just to give the timber some added protection and hopefully reflect some heat back into the vehicle. These are additional seatbelt covers that I managed to get that the manufacturers use when the bulkhead is removed. You'll find that when doing so you're left with a kind of ugly edge. So I was lucky enough to get hold of these. I ended up covering them because they weren't in particularly good nick. There's my Duke there, just checking quality control. I'll tell you what, that dog was with me every step of the way. If only I'd trained him to pass me some tools, I might have got the job done quicker. Anyway, this is a section of the bathroom. I had to raise the floor up in order to site the toilet on, in order to get the toilet cassette out without having to cut into those bottom ribs there. There was a horizontal section running down there, you can probably just make out, that I had to remove in order to gain access. Bathroom walls go up, a bit of a challenge getting those in, following the curvature of the van, etc. But I did get there in the end. There'll be a sliding door there that'll close off that opening later. The toilet, incidentally, for those who might be interested, is a Dometic type. Retails around about £350. It's a ceramic bowl type. Apparently the plastic type stained quite a bit, so I thought it was worth a bit extra for that. Shower tray there, built in with it, and you've got the plywood lining. Then I put at the back ready to take some shower board that would be put on later. It was my intention to have a couple of swivel seats in the front there, so as continuity I decided to vinyl floor the front cab area. Those swivel bases retail around about £90 a piece. I'd purchased a single seat off eBay, and the original twin seats that were in there I was planning to use for the dining area. A couple of switches installed there which operated some outside lighting that I put on the vehicle. There's a side step switch there. That's complete kit, cost me around about £350 I think for that particular step. In this next clip is the central hub, if you like, where all the wiring etc is going to run back to, where the twin seats are eventually going to sit on top to make up the dining area. I had to create this box section in order to run some heating pipes under to hide that from the Truma boiler unit that was being housed in the back, but also under there would be the batteries, the leisure batteries, 2 of those AGM batteries, and also to house the Sergeant unit, the electrical consumer unit, in there as well. So quite a bit to get in there. The seat itself, the frame structure, had to be modified. I had to cut that down slightly in order to house that and get that flat. So as you can see there now that the Sergeant unit is housed in there, all the wiring running back to there, batteries under, etc., and some pipe work coming up there in prep for the kitchen. The Sergeant unit itself, this particular one came as a kit, retail for around about £600, which may seem expensive, but everything's pre-fused, all the wiring's there for your 240 volt. It'll also charge up your batteries and gives you an all-round indication of your battery levels, your water levels, Also has a direct plug in there for a solar panel, should you wish to put one. And I really felt that it took the hassle out of having to figure out the various wiring up yourself, basically. So I thought that it was well worth it. Now, you see what I mean about the dog? Just to mention the furniture, although I'd made all that up, I haven't mentioned that they're 8x4 sheets, and they're a light wood ply. They weigh about 20 kilos each, so quite a bit lighter than using conventional boards, but they're not cheap. They're around about £100 a piece. It cost me £1,000 more or less for 10 of those, but I felt that they did the job and put a pretty good finish on things. Those aluminium corner profiles that you see there, they proved invaluable really, saving an awful lot of work. I did use those quite a bit, retail for around about £15 a piece. 60 litre 12 volt fridge, but will also run off your mains hookup to 40 volt. Plus I did wire it up in such a way that whilst running the vehicle, it would be charging along and running along nicely. No gas, didn't want to go down that route, too many cons for me, plus the fact that I felt that there was already enough holes in the side there without having to vent for a gas combi type. Access there for your 240 volt mains, hook up to the right there. Door access there for the toilet cassette, and the trimmer vent for the boiler. This is a view from the rear doors looking in. This is where I'm putting some furniture together that'll house the trimmer boiler that I chose. It's a combi boiler, does your heating, hot water. Retails for around about £1,500. Probably the single most expensive item that I brought. Nice compact unit. Did look at a couple of other options, a couple of separates. But due to the configuration of the van, I felt this was a better option. It'll run off 240 volts, your mains hookup, or gas, or a combination of the two, so it's quite handy in that respect. Nice compact unit, does the job very well, heats the hot water well, heats the van very well, and it's been a good buy really. There were 4 separate heating outlets for you to distribute with that particular unit. I did manage to get all 4 in. Minimum requirements were 2. I put 1 at the rear, 1 directly into the bathroom, 1 in the middle of the van, and 1 towards the front. This is the kitchen unit being made up in the garage there. I've got a 2-burner hob on top, which I think retail for around about £250. There's provision there for a gas oven to go in as well, and that was all of course made up from this light wood plyboard. View from the rear again, where the bed is eventually going to be put on top of the trimmer housing unit, with some added storage to the one side as well that'll support it across. Sergeant controller unit there, and the trimmer controller unit for your heating, hot water. There's also an app with this particular one that should you be down the pub and you want to put the heating on in the van, you can program it in through this app and it'll put it on for you, which might come in quite handy. That's the heating pipe that was being distributed. It doesn't come with the trimmer combi boiler, that has to be purchased separately. This is where I located the filler cap for the LPG. You may be wondering where any gas bottles are. Well, I decided to do away with those, save on a bit of space. So I mounted a 25 litre LPG tank under the vehicle. I felt that this was a better option than using gas bottles, and apparently trying to get those aboard and getting those changed should you need to is quite a hassle apparently. And also cheaper as well. I think it cost me only about £7-8 to fill that. Supplied by Auto Gas 2000, retails around about £400 for the whole kit. These are the water tanks that I had delivered. Again, choosing to go under mount with these, obviously saving on space. 90 litre tank, fresh water, and 80 litre wastewater tank. I had these custom made. You can get them off the shelf for Fiat Ducato, but they're not as robust as these. They're a lot better made. Supplied by Sean at Barrett Tanks. Around about £300, so similar to money than those off the shelf. But as I say, I just thought that these were a better bet. Kitchen in there. I think we're about ready to go. Just a quick mention on the bed and that there. The frame I got from IKEA, which I cut down. The mattress I had to get specially made for the shape, etc. That was around about 300 quid. So at the end of the day, guys, what's it cost me? Well, I think all in all with everything, I think if you budget around about £6.5 grand, I don't think you'll be far off. But take a look around, ask any questions you'd like, subscribe if you like, tell me to bollocks if you like. Anyway, cheers.